Hello everyone, this is Sodor Railway Studios here, and welcome to another Thomas & Friends episode review. And today I'm going to be reviewing my personal favourite episode of my favourite season, which is Season 4, and that is Rusty to the Rescue. And I'm doing this, reviewing this episode because today is actually Mascot the MSC Tank Engine 2004's 20th birthday today, as well as his twin brother, E2 Class Fan 2004. So yeah, happy birthday, Mascot! And the reason I chose this episode, or, well, any Rusty episode in particular, is because Rusty is his favourite Diesel character in Thomas, so I thought I might as well review a Rusty episode. And so I thought, well, I'll review Rusty to the Rescue, because that's Rusty's most popular episode, it seems. So, I'm gonna do a similar thing to what I did with Big Strong Henry. I'm gonna talk about what I like and what I don't like about this episode, and my personal history with it. So, let's get started. Now, I have seen that some people criticise this episode for being a bit too similar to Escape from Season 3, and I can kind of see that, but at the same time I do praise Britt Allcroft and David Mitton for giving Rusty a spotlight episode, because when you think about it, Rusty never got a story to himself in the Railway series. I mean, yes, he did kind of have a starring role in Rock and Roll, but that was mainly about Duncan, so there we go. And another thing I really like about this episode is the visuals and the model work. Like, the visuals of the scrapyard at night, they are quite creepy, to say the least, and I wouldn't be surprised if some people were scared of it when they were kids. I don't think I was, but I think I was a little bit unnerved, but not downright terrified by them. And also, I absolutely love the music that plays when Rusty and Stepney escape from the scrapyard. That's probably my favourite piece of music in this episode, and one of my favourite pieces of music from Season 4 and by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell. Yeah, Mike and Junior are really good composers in my eyes. Another thing I know this episode is criticised for is the fact that it messes with the continuity of Stepney, because in the Railway series, Stepney's treated like he is in the real world, so like he lives on the Bluebell Railway and whatnot, but in the TV series, apparently Sodor has its own Bluebell Railway, so I know a lot of people were put off by that, but I don't mind it like that. I think I actually prefer it that way, because Stepney's one of my favourite characters, and I like the fact that he would live where Rusty was close to him, given that they're portrayed as best friends in this show. So yeah, the whole controversy with Stepney in this episode, I genuinely try to avoid, because it leads to me discovering people that absolutely despise this episode for whatever reason. So that's my thoughts on the controversy about Stepney in the TV series and this episode. And then another thing I really like about this episode is Michael Angelus's narration, because he does a really good job. I don't really listen to George Carlin's narration that much, but I do admit he also does a pretty good job. But I do prefer Michael Angelus's narration, because he actually sounds threatening when the Diesels are talking to Rusty. Like, I'll play a comparison to see what I mean.
Who are you?
Who are you?
No.
No, none.
One. We have one.
One. We have one.
God, I love the echo effect that they put on Michael Angelus's narration on it as well. Like, George Carlin didn't even sound threatening at all. No offense to George Carlin, he was still a decent narrator in my opinion, but he wasn't. I don't think he's as good as other people say he is, but he was still okay in my opinion, though this is probably a controversial opinion. I thought that Alec Baldwin was a lot better than George Carlin, at least in Season 5, but yeah. Now on to the things that I didn't like about this episode. There's not much that I don't like about this episode, honestly, because, I mean, I said before that it's my favourite Season 4 episode, so there's not going to be that much I don't like about it. But I do admit it is a little bit odd how Rusty is able to travel to Vickerstown all the way to Vickerstown, let alone taking a whole day to get there. Like, I'm not surprised it took a whole day for him to get to Vickerstown, or the scrapyard. Because, many people have said this before, I don't really know why there would be a narrow gauge line to the scrapyard. But yeah, I know a lot of people, I think it's because of that some people think that this episode would have been better if Oliver was the main character, but I think Rusty works perfectly. Even though I do like the idea of Oliver working with this episode. Now onto my personal history with it. First of all, this episode is incredibly nostalgic for me because I have a lot of happy memories watching it on my Complete Series 4 DVD when I was a kid. And this was always one of my favourite episodes, and Season 4 is coincidentally the first classic season that I watched. So I hold it quite dearly to my heart, and that's partly why it's my favourite season. So, this episode was always one of my favourites whenever I watched it on that DVD, and it still is to this day. Because, yeah, and that's also partly why I'm so passionate about Michelangelo's narration, because I adore his narration in Season 4, and in Season 5 and 6 as well. He was good in Season 3, but I don't think he'd found his footing quite yet at that moment, so there are some moments where I thought George Carlin was a bit better in Season 3, but in general, Michelangelo is still a fantastic narrator in my opinion. He's always been my favourite, and he always will be. So, that's about it for the review, so now it's time for whether or not I recommend this episode to people. And the answer is yes, I definitely recommend this episode. It is really, really good. I know there are a lot of fans that don't particularly like this episode because of the whole controversy with Stepney, but I don't care what anyone says. This episode is a masterpiece in my eyes. It's beyond amazing. I of course have to give it a 10 out of 10. I would highly recommend watching it if you haven't already. It's a really good episode, and probably one of my favourites of Season 4, which is a long list of my favourite Season 4 episodes. Other ones include like Rock and Roll, Special Funnel, Bad Day for Sir Handel, Four Little Engines, Toad Stands By. The list really does go on. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this review, and also, once again, happy birthday to Mascot the MSC Tank Engine 2004. I probably wouldn't have done this video without him. I know how much of a big Rusty fan he is, so I hope he appreciates this review. And until next time, I've been Sodor Railway Studios, you've been awesome, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Goodbye, everyone!